This is Jerry Recco. Join Kevin Ray, Danny White, and myself for all the action.
Hot News Talk 1240.
If it's the NFL, it's right here.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Costa, host of the Costa Report, every Sunday at 9 a.m. My guest this week was the former Secretary of Education, Mr. William Bennett, whose controversial new book titled America the Strong is getting ready to hit bookstores this month. Don't miss a thought-provoking one-on-one conversation with William Bennett this Sunday at 9 a.m. on the Costa Report, right here on AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
Here you are, working to keep your customers happy and to manage your cash flow. IRS problems are the last thing you need, but here they are, flapping about you like vultures. Get help from Eric Pelton and his team of accountants at E.J. Pelton Company. Audits, letters, proposed return changes, 1099s, penalty threats. Pelton Tax Resolution Services brings peace of mind and helps you keep more of what you've earned. EJPelton.com. Offices on Brainerd Road and in Soddy Daisy, just north of the Bilo. That's E.J. Pelton. Call 622-3156. Think ahead, 622-3156.
On AM 1240, you give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
You are listening to Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, and I have the distinct pleasure of being in here in the studio with Bruce Krebs of the Entrepreneur Source, and this is the Entrepreneur Hour. How are you doing, Bruce?
I'm doing excellent. A little rainy, a little cool, but hey, we can't change that.
That's right. Yesterday was a nice day, so you know you can't have them all nice. I tell you what, we're going to just go ahead and jump into some stuff because you have a whole lot of stuff that is very good, and I mean very helpful to folks, and that's exactly why you're here. First of all, let's give your information out. So if someone needs some help.
My phone number is 423-875-5621, and my website is www.the.e-as-in-Edward-source.com/B as in Bruce Krebs, Krebs.
And Bruce, I know you are a big advocate of people should work for themselves, start their own business. Why is that? I mean,
well, if you look at the problem we have today, you know, the jobs numbers that come out are so fictitious. They're not real. I mean, the government doesn't count so many people that have dropped off the unemployment rolls, or they quit looking, or they're discouraged, or whatever. And everybody cheers these 5.2% unemployment numbers. Well, that's not even close to being correct. Our real unemployment rate today is 12.5%. And we have 16 million people unemployed. Now, that's only part of the situation. The other part is that we have 28 million people working part-time because they can't find full-time work. And we have 6.5 million people that are working multiple part-time jobs. Again, they can't find full-time work. So that's, if you really look at the numbers that our government puts out, our worker participation rate is 62.3%.
Wow.
That's their number. So there's 155 million people in our workforce. That means there's 91 million people either not working or working part-time.
That's
their numbers. All right. So when you also have a whole situation that because of the 2008-2009 recession, a lot of people took jobs that way below their income levels, something they really hate doing. I mean, I've got one client that is driving to Nashville every day for $10 an hour to work as a rent-a-cop security guard because he can't find any other work. All right. And, you know, I've got another client that he hasn't worked for 2 years. He's really gone through all his money. Thank God he still has good credit, but his fixed expenses is $4,000 a month, and he's got 4 months worth of money left. After that, what do you do?
Yeah,
you can't eat.
You're right.
So the real issue is 90% of new jobs are created by small businesses. And when you're in a situation where you're unemployed, underemployed, you're not making enough money, you don't like what you're doing, whatever your situation is, you at least have to consider business ownership. Is it scary? Yes, I believe it's scary to go into business for yourself, because if you start a business from scratch, you have an 82% failure rate in 3 years. That is a Department of Commerce statistic. That's why I'm an advocate of franchising, because in franchising, in the service sector of franchising, there's a 96.2% success rate after 5 years. Over the last 13 years, my clients have experienced that. So the reason for that is you get a proven system to follow. But more than that, they help you get your clients and customers. And the scariest part of going into business for yourself is, well, I've never done that before. But the biggest problem anybody has is, how do I get my clients and customer? And that's what a franchisor does. And they start driving your top line, but they also train you. They give you field training. They give you a coach through your startup to really help you with any and all problems that you have. And so, it isn't as scary as it thinks. Now, you have another dynamic. Some people may want to do something full-time. People who want to do something full-time, quite frankly, are because they want to control their own destiny. They want to enjoy what they're doing. They want to make money. They want to build equity in their business. At the same time, if you want to keep your job, there is things that you can do part-time if you have 10, 15 hours a week. There's also a few things you can do if you just have a few hours a week. I mean, so you and your wife may have 3 to 5 hours a week. So going into business for yourself is just not entirely full-time.
Right. So you kind of get to pick and choose. You help someone find out, maybe they do have a full-time job. They're working full-time at Volkswagen, but they do want to start something on the side because, as you said, they want to be able to eventually control their own destiny. So you can help them pick out from full to part-time to really part-time.
Yeah. And, it starts off with not only understanding what are your goals, needs, expectations, criteria, but, when I sit down with a client, I'm a life coach. Besides being a franchise consultant and a business coach, I'm a life coach. And what that simply means is, if we sit down, we're going to look at your financial status, and we're going to look at what you're making and what you're saving. And then we're going to look at, okay, when you look at college for your kids and you look at all the things you're going to spend in life, then if you want to retire at 65, how much money do you have? And is your job and is your savings going to get you there?
Right.
So part of it is, maybe to do that, you need another $60,000 or $80,000 a year. Well, then you and your wife can keep your job. But if you do something passively, as an example, you can have incremental income and grow the equity. So if you're making that $60,000 to $80,000 a year, and then in 5 years or 10 years you sell it, and if it costs you $75,000 to get into, you're going to sell it for a multiple of 3 times pre-tax earnings plus assets, and you might sell it for $400,000 or $500,000. That becomes your retirement fund. So there's just so many ways to think about things that you traditionally and typically never think about.
And I would say a lot of people have it in, they kind of have it in their head that they're saying, well, if I'm going into business for myself, that's 15, 16-hour days, 7 days a week. I'm toiling away, where over here in my job, it is kind of comfortable. But I think when they come to you, Bruce, you kind of show them a different path. In fact, it looks like you show them several different paths.
Absolutely. When a client comes to me, I give them 5 or 6 or 7 different ideas that I think fits all their criteria. And if you look at that, it's an interesting subject you bring up, because today, the main complaint with employees is it's a burnout situation, because not only are you working from 8 to 5 or 6, but then you got to stay afterwards or work overtime, or then you got to travel, but you're connected to your smartphone, to your email and your text messages, and literally 24/7, just about, you're connected. That to me is real stress. So if you look at going into business for yourself, if you're going into a business where it's a product or service that you're doing with businesses to help businesses save time or money, well, businesses aren't open nights and weekends. You can't be busy then.
Right.
Okay. Now, you may be answering some messages or some emails or doing some paperwork or billing, but you can't be busy all the time. So it isn't now, if you're in the food or retail, Yeah, it may be 18
or hospitality
days.
business.
Exactly.
You're absolutely correct.
And I don't like those, that's why I like the service business, is not, food or retail or expensive things that have overhead. So, you really have to understand your criteria. And I guess my favorite saying is, you have to learn more to earn more.
You're right. You're absolutely correct. That took me a while to learn.
Right.
I thought, you can overcome everything with just a lot of hours and hard work, but it took me a while to learn. First of all, you have to know as much as you can about whatever you're doing.
Right.
And second of all, then you have to take that information and work smart.
Yeah, absolutely. You do. And it's kind of, the other thing that you learn is whether you're working for a company or working for yourself, you have pay time and no pay time. No pay time is when you're on your computer or doing paperwork or whatever it is. And to me, pay time is when you're in front of a client or a customer, either giving him a presentation or giving him an estimate or sending crews in to do work or whatever it is, you're generating income. And if you really think about that, you want to work on your business, not in it. If you're working in your business, you're going to pay yourself $15 or $20 or $25 an hour. Where if you're working on your business, then you're going to go out and give the estimate, and you're going to have a crew that you schedule, and they're going to go in and do the work. Now, pay them $15, $18 an hour, but you're going to be billing at $60 an hour. So you're going to be making $40 or $45 an hour for each of the guys that are working for you. And then you go in and do the quality control and get the sign off and get paid. So, you start off with one crew and then two and then three. But when you're working in your business, then you're never going to make the kind of money you want to make.
I think you're absolutely correct. And a lot of times when you're working in your business, your focus is with your head down and not up looking around. Like you said, if you're working on your business, you're out in front of people, you're seeing new opportunities. You're seeing, maybe gives you an idea of tweaking something this way or that way. But when you're in, I know when I'm working in my business, my head is down. I'm focused on exactly what's in front of me, and what's around me, I'm missing a lot of great opportunities.
Well, there's another factor. I mean, the franchisor is going to give you ongoing training and support. They have national accounts. They already have the search engine optimization set up to get you business. And they're going to add new products and services to stay ahead of the competition. But a key thing is you have a think tank. All right. Now, what I mean by that is all the other franchisees that are in your system, you talk to them, you meet at your annual conferences or quarterly meetings, but you develop friendships, and then you start to talk to one another about the best practices, what's working for them, what isn't working for them. And you have basically a mastermind group of your own to rely on.
And I think that's great because you have like-minded people in the same industry you are, and you can pull from that base of knowledge. As you said before, education and knowing as much as you can about your field is important. Well, why not learn that from people that have either been in a little longer than you, or maybe they're in a different market. And even though it is a franchise, each market is different.
Absolutely.
And you can pick up some great ideas and maybe open your eyes and say, here's what we're doing in there.
Yeah, what works and doesn't work. I guess the biggest fear, one, is the fear of the unknown. But secondly, people get worried about, well, I've never done this before, or I don't have the skills and strengths. So, what we did, understanding that, is, if you look at a franchisor, they're going to train you, show you their standard operating procedures, training manuals. They're going to really train you. They're going to give you a PhD in their business. But there's still things that you need to know. You haven't learned on the job. You haven't learned in college. So we got together with Michael Gerber. And Michael Gerber has written a lot of great books about business and being in business for yourself and so forth. And we worked with him for 2 years to come up with a program called FAST. And what FAST means is it's a franchise accelerated success training. And in this program, which we offer free to any of our clients that go into business.
And Bruce, you may need to say that again. You probably woke a lot of people up when you just said that.
That's right. So. Free. Well, and basically, what it does is gives you a great, literally a college education in business. And there is a full, it's 30 hours of online training. There's management, basically how to manage your business. There's financial, the money side of it, how to do a pro forma, how to read balance sheets, how to put together your monthly, quarterly, yearly statements, marketing, a full 4 hours of marketing. Then there's 4 hours of client acquisition, client fulfillment. Then there's 4 hours of lead conversion. In other words, you go out and make a presentation and it doesn't turn into an order. Well, if you're going out and making 100 presentations and only 20% of them become clients, 80% of them haven't. So how do you get your conversion rates up to 30, 50, 80%? Yeah,
conversion of leads is the key.
That's the key. And that's a lot of it's value-based presentations or value-based selling. And then there's lead generation, which is totally different than marketing and lead conversion. And so basically the lead generation piece of it, these are workshops, and these are interactive workshops that you can do as you need them. And we also have another program called AIM. And what AIM, it's called AIM for Success, because it really goes through a very analytical process of whether or not you really should think about doing something on your own or being in business for yourself.
Right.
And it asks you a lot of tough questions, not only you, but your family. And it talks about, are you one that's able to follow a system? If you can't follow a system, you shouldn't go into a franchise.
And I think I've heard you say this before, women are a lot better following that system than men are. I know, systems they sound great to me in the beginning. And then, I think I can do this. And all of a sudden the system's gone because I've tweaked it so much.
Well, not only that is that when you go into business for yourself, you're trying to figure everything out on your own.
Right.
Number one. Secondly, if you're an entrepreneur, you're never happy with status quo. The third thing is if you're a type A personality, you are never going to be pleased or happy with status quo. All right. So those three types of personalities should never go into a franchise. Never. All right. If you're a person, though, that will follow a system, as an example, people who've been in operations and middle management or even higher management or military or women, as an example, you were absolutely right. Women understand, they've organized their household. They've understand, whether it be their husband, their family, their life, their finances, their grocery shopping or kids to school. They understand there's a system that has to be followed. And women are extremely good at multitasking, number one, but secondly, following a system. That's why there's a huge increase in women-owned businesses today. And if you look at since 2008, the biggest increase is in women and minority-owned businesses, which is amazing.
I think that is amazing because, and like you said, I can see that women are more, mostly are more organized than men.
Yeah, no question.
And if you're an entrepreneur, I mean, you kind of come up with the ideas. Here's the grand scheme. Here's the way I want to make this work. And then when you get down in the details and you don't have the structure and you don't have the system, that's where the entrepreneur is weak in, because, very seldom do you find the person with the big ideas that can organize the system too.
Yeah. And the other problem is most people think, well, I don't have any money. Most people don't think they have any money. Well, you may have equity in your house. You may have your IRA or 401k. You may have income property. People, have assets. But I'll tell you, what's happened today is that fear has been removed. Now, this is the most important thing that I could relate to this listening audience is 75% of my clients do not have any money to speak of. I mean, they got a little bit of money.
Not enough to start a franchise.
Exactly. Right. Because people look at, I need $50,000 or $60,000 and I need, a few $1,000s a month to pay myself through the startup to pay my bills, and most people think they're going to go to a bank or some kind of lender and get a loan. That doesn't happen because a bank is an asset-based lender.
Right. And, Bruce, you're right. I would say most people do not think about paying themselves.
Right.
I mean, and they almost go, and I'm talking, from experience, you go in with a sacrifice mentality. Well, I have to sacrifice me maybe not making as much or money in the beginning so I can start this business. Sounds like to me that you say, wait a minute, you need to think about yourself too.
Well, yeah.
Because that's where burnout would come in.
Yeah, because first of all, we have to find the right business. Then we have to figure out how to finance it and pay yourself. So in other words, we do what's called the use of funds. We say, okay, the franchise fee is $20,000 and you need $10,000 in startup, and then You've got to get with an attorney, review your documents, set up your corporation. That's $5,000. So now you got $35,000 to get into business. Well, if your fixed expense is $4,000 a month, you may find that you can start making money in 3 or 4 months, but you want a safety net. You want 8 months. All right, let's say.
Okay.
8 months at $4,000 a month is $32,000 plus $35,000. You need $67,000 is what you need. All right. Now you may not need all that, but you want to sleep at nights knowing that you have more than enough money to pay your bills. So we put that on paper.
Okay.
Then what we do is, what happened is the Small Business Administration was originally designed and put together as an organization to help people get financing. There was $30 billion a year earmarked for financing to help people go into business for themselves. The problem is that it doesn't work, meaning the requirements were so strict that people
that nobody
could do that. You needed to put, well, we're after the break. I'm going to get into exactly
yes,
how
I want you to, because I know there's a lot of programs out there, and you know them, and I guarantee you there's a lot of people out there that are thinking there's no way I can get into a franchise business. That would take all of my savings or everything I could, but you're going to teach us how that, there are some really good, affordable programs for that. Absolutely. You're listening to the Entrepreneur Hour here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook and on Twitter at Hot News Talk Radio. Very simple, just Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter or on Facebook. And do not forget to use our TuneIn app. Just go to the TuneIn app, and that's on your smartphone. Download it. Type in Hot News Talk Radio, 1240 AM, and you can listen to us anytime, anywhere. And, of course, if you're sitting at the office, you're probably listening to us on hotnewstalkradio.com.
This is a mob mode. This is the mob mode.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
The Fed raising rates, China's economy in trouble. Don't let headlines derail your long-term financial strategy. I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Patrick Neal. At Edward Jones, we provide the tools for a reasoned, disciplined approach to investing. Stop by my office next to the Target Shopping Center in Hickson, or call me at 423-870-7894. That's Patrick Neal at 870-7894. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Half off! Half off! Half off! Yay!
It's Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds half-off remounting party going on right now. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds half-off remounting party is an affordable way to revitalize your jewelry. Don't miss the party going on today at Rick Davis half-off remounting party. Give your diamond ring a fresh new look or a new design, as Rick's Gold and Diamonds will fix it quickly, or maybe even while you wait.
Half off! Half off!
Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, 40 years of service, 5301 Brainerd Road, 5301 Brainerd Road. Call 580-2587, 580-2587 for Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, an affordable way to revitalize your jewelry. The half-off party's going on today, so don't miss it at Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds.
Half off! Half off! Half off!
Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, 5301 Brainerd Road. Call 580-2587. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds.
This is America Now with Meghan McCain.
Al Gore running is crazy. You're flying around in your private jet all over the world, and you want average Americans to care about the environment. Don't you think you should be doing your part as well?
Meghan McCain, weekdays at 7 p.m.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Hi, I'm David Tulis, inviting you to make the move with me 9 to 11 a.m. weekdays here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. The David Tulis Show, featuring Nooganomics.com for Chattanooga and beyond. 9 to 11 a.m. weekdays.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. Hurricane Joaquin's path still unclear, but governors up and down the East Coast are warning residents to prepare for drenching storms. The Category 3 right now battering the Bahamas.
There are already a number of advisories and watches that are in effect across coastal areas, lashing the Bahamas right now. Very heavy rain, locally up to 20 inches possible across the central Bahamas. We're talking about life-threatening conditions that are going to be lasting for a long period of time.
Fox meteorologist Maria Molina, flash flooding's already killed one person in South Carolina. The Russian president denying reports civilians were killed in Russian airstrikes in Syria, and Target putting its online competition in the crosshairs.
Starting today, Target is expanding its price matching policy to include goods sold by 29 online competitors, including Macy's, Costco, Amazon, and Sam's Club. Plus, Target will give shoppers 14 days to find a better price.
Fox Radio's Bill Vitka. Fox News, we report, you decide.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240.
Welcome back. We are here on the Entrepreneur Hour with Bruce Krebs, and Bruce was just kind of catch you up real quick. You're listening to Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. We kind of went through a lot of things in the beginning, so if you missed it, you can always go to YouTube and catch our broadcast, whether it be live or whether it be archived. So you go to youtube.com, and that's Hot News Talk Radio. We had talked about, overcoming fear, why to start a business, why women are probably better in a franchise than maybe your normal entrepreneur. But the big thing we had started, and then we're going to continue here, is money. That's Bruce, that's what drives everything, money. And you were going to go through some programs that are out there that are, very amazing programs that the government has right now for startup on for franchisees and other businesses.
Yeah, basically in the past, the Small Business Administration had $30 billion earmarked to loan to people to go into business for themselves. The majority of the money wasn't being used. And it wasn't being used because the criteria of the program was that you had to put down 25% in cash. So if you wanted $100,000, you had to put down $25,000 in cash. And you had to pledge assets for the other $75,000, home equity or something like that.
Similar to a bank.
Yeah, just like a bank. But there was a 6-year amortization, 6 years payment plan, and there was prepayment penalties. Now, most people do not want to or can't do that. So what they did is in March of last year, they came up with a new program called an SBA Express loan or low documentation loan. You can get up to $150,000 on your signature now. There is no money down. There is no pledge of collateral. It is a 10-year amortization, and there's no prepayment penalties. The only criteria is that you have to have a credit score above 680, and no suits, collections, bankruptcies, or 911 terrorist.
Right.
Things,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's one of the requirements. Seriously. And it's a 2-page application. You get pre-approved in 2 days. You get what's called
and this is government going to pre-approve you in 2 days. That's pretty quick.
You get a formal hard copy approval, which means you get a number from the SBA saying you have the loan. Here it is. And then 3 to 4 weeks later, anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000 drops into your business checking account.
Wow.
Now, I have had 78 clients since last March go with that program. It is a beautiful program. And whatever.
What kind of interest rate? Does it depend on your credit score? I'm sure.
No, it doesn't. It's 2.75% over prime.
Wow.
So it's 6%.
Yeah.
Because prime's 3.25% right now. So when worry about running out of money. And it's a beautiful program because you can pay yourself. In fact, you have to pay yourself. And that's just an interesting part. Is what they require is if you've been making $4,000 a month in corporate America, they require you to take $4,000 a month in income.
Oh, wow.
They require it.
Well, and that's maybe not a bad thing. That way
it's a good thing.
Because as you're working in a business, if you're not paying yourself, that's when you get burnout, you get kind of maybe disheartened.
Well, if you look at going into business for yourself, the biggest fear is one, will I run out of money? Will I be able to pay my bills? The second real big fear is in worst case scenario, if something happens, am I going to file bankruptcy and lose my house?
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, you haven't put up your house as collateral. The other thing is you will never have to file bankruptcy because under this program, this SBA program, the worst case scenario is they could turn you over for collection.
Wow.
That's it.
And this is a government
program,
yeah.
government-backed program.
Okay.
Now, but the other thing, here's something that most people don't realize is if you start a business on your own and after 6 months or a year or 2 years, you're not doing well, losing money, whatever the situation is, you're going to close it and get zero for the business. You're going to take a loss.
Right.
In a franchise, it's a totally different dynamic because you get an exclusive territory, Hamilton, Bradley County as an example.
Okay.
And there's a franchise fee. And so at worst case scenario, that asset can be sold
to another franchise,
to another franchisee.
Okay.
Right? I'll give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about. I had a client go into business for himself last year, and after 6 months, he developed carpal tunnel, and it was something he worked on his own. Okay.
Right.
And because that's what he liked to do. He liked to work with his hands and didn't want employees and whatever. Well, after 6 months, he got carpal tunnel. Well, he already had a client base of about 80 customers.
Okay.
They were giving him repeat business every month, literally. So when he came to me and said, Bruce, I'm sorry, I have to sell the business. Well, his franchise fee was $35,000, and he was making on an annualized basis about $60,000 a year so far in six months with his customers. So I had another client buy that business from him, gave him his $35,000 franchise fee back, and paid him $30,000 for the goodwill. And
so he came out
ahead.
Great. Yeah.
Great. Right. I mean, I just had an individual just literally last week come to me who had bought a franchise here, not through me, and things changed in her life. Mother died, it went through a divorce, whatever the situation is. And she said, I just don't want to be in business for myself anymore. It's too much. I'm going to have a nervous breakdown. Right. And I just helped her sell the business to another one of my clients. Her franchise fee was $35,000. He just bought it for $55,000.
Oh, wow. See, and that's the nice thing about a franchise.
Right. And right. She had made money her first year and second year. The third year, she didn't make any money with the divorce and her mother dying and everything else. But there was still goodwill. There was a customer base. He could go back out and get those customers back and so forth. So there is value, and people just don't realize you can sell it and get all your money back, or at least most of your money back. Even on a franchise fee, the only thing you're going to have to pay is a transfer fee to the franchisor, which is a couple $1,000s.
Right.
So it's an asset, and it's kind of like buying a house. It's an asset that will appreciate in value.
All right. The loan you were talking about now, are there any prepayment penalties on it?
No, there have to be no prepayment penalties. And so, it's just when you look at that product, you pay your franchise fee, your startup, you can make your payments, your loan payments on it. You can pay yourself. You can buy a vehicle. I mean, you can literally do whatever you want to do with that money. You have unlimited use of the funds. It isn't like they're going to come to you and make you present. That's actually a good point. In the past, the SBA made you come to them and say, okay, give me a receipt for what you're spending the money for.
All right? Wow.
And then they would advance you the money
as you needed
it. That's not true in this.
That's kind of like a contractor. Exactly. As he does his work on the house, then they get their money from the bank.
This doesn't have any of those restrictions. And there's special programs for women, minority, veterans. Veterans, as an example, I've just helped 3 veterans into business for themselves. One, the franchisor financed the whole franchise fee.
Wow, really? Thing.
Yep. The other is there's many times there's discounts for veterans of 25 to 50% of the franchise fee. And again, for women, minorities, there's all kinds
do they get discounts
programs.
and all kind of different programs?
All different kind of programs. And it's all part of you really need to learn what's out there, And I'll tell you, the worst case scenario, if you come to me and you learn what's out there, you get a bunch of ideas, you go through this process. And by the way, I should mention, this is a very fact-based analytical process, and it takes a lot of time. To go through this process from start to finish is going to take you a minimum of 3 months because you have to do a lot of due diligence with my help.
Right.
And talking to franchisors and franchisees.
Yeah, it's not something they can talk to you 15 minutes and you say, well, here you go. And we go, okay, I'll be starting on Monday, or anything like that.
Absolutely not.
And that's a good thing.
You have to do a lot of research, all right? But we put together all the numbers and it's not a selling process. It's not a buying process. It's an educational process. And so the worst case scenario is that you find the right business and then say, well, I may want to do this in 6 months or a year or never. But the real issue is you're going to sleep better at night, because if one day you want to take that pink slip or tell your boss to go fly a kite, you'll understand there's something out there you can do and not have to worry about the security of your life.
And the bottom line is peace of mind, and that gives you peace of mind. Or maybe, maybe a lot of people out there think that I have to go full time and I'm not ready to leave my job. But through your help and your coaching, your life coaching, as you said, maybe they can find something that they do 15, 20 hours a week that they absolutely love.
Yep.
And didn't realize that they could do that. And then, they have the opportunity for that to balloon into something that is full-time and a lot larger.
Yeah, there's many things actually. For the first 3 to 6 months, you can start part-time. And then once you got your client base and your customers and you're able to replace your income, if you don't want to borrow that for working capital and on a loan,
right,
then you can transition into full-time.
Yeah. And that's what I like. Cause you're not just there people don't come in and sit in your office and you say, well, I have these 15 franchises here, like a deck of cards, pick one.
No.
And we've talked before how you believe educating and knowing that person and them knowing the products that are out there so that there is really the right person for the right franchise.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you have to enjoy what you're doing every day. You also have to have the lifestyle, meaning if you want to go to your child's baseball game at 3:00, you just don't set any appointments at 3:00.
Right.
You can't do that in corporate America.
Yeah. You have a little more control over your life.
Exactly. You're controlling your own destiny, setting your own schedule. Now, you may work later in the night, or you may work a Saturday morning, or whatever it is, but you have a flexible schedule. And that's very important. In fact, that's a real big deal today. The number one thing that's important to people today is having a flexible schedule. That's why we're seeing more and more people that work locally at Unum or TVA or at various insurance companies here. They're not commuting. They're not driving back and forth to work. They're not working the office. They're working from home. All right, because they do have the lifestyle is much more important.
And also, it allows you to, if you're what you said, on your business instead of in your business,
right,
if you're working it like that, which is the way you really craft it and teach people, it gives you flex time to, I am getting a little burnout, and you can kind of control your schedule, and maybe you take 3 or 4 days off.
Right.
You go to the beach, or maybe you go to the mountains or whatever, just to kind of give you that downtime, because it's really all about enjoying this life we have.
Yeah, exactly. And the real issue is you're very vulnerable when you reach at any age, but at 50 in particular. A male or female over 50 today is very vulnerable in corporate America. We have local companies that are letting go people over 50 or 55 years old literally every week. It's done quietly,
right?
But you hear about it all the time. When you hear that it was public record, TVA just took early retirement, 2,700 people. I've just helped many people that had to take that early retirement and take that package into business for themselves because they didn't have enough money to retire, nor did they want to. But that's being done in a lot of areas of this country today, because businesses are going to continue to downsize, right size, and capsize. It just is the way.
I like that. But when you're over 50, you're bringing a wealth of life experience to the table when you go into a franchise.
And that's one thing most people don't understand is when you're 45 or 50 years old and you've worked for 20 or 25 years, you have developed a tremendous amount of skills and talents, whether it be from your life, your education, or your job. And most people, when I sit down the first time and talk to them, and I say, tell me about your skills and strengths, because they're transferable into anything else you go into, they have an aha moment. They think, wow.
Well,
and then they start to talk, and they start to realize they really do have great strengths. But see, here's the problem. if you go get a job, you give that potential employer a resume, and they look at, do you have experience in this industry? If you have great skills and strengths, they don't care. They want you to have skills and strengths in that industry. I look at that same resume and figure out what skills and strengths and experience do they have, so I can show them the right business.
And I'm sure a lot of times because that's why it's a 3-month process. Part of that is you not only learning their skills and strengths. I'm not sure a lot of these people learn themselves. I never was aware that I had this skill or this strength or whatever it is. And I'm sure you have a lot of self-awareness when people, that aha moment, go, wow, yeah, I can do that. And I do like doing that. And I'm very good at that.
Right. And just the second question I ask somebody, a new client coming in, is, from a business standpoint, what do you enjoy doing every day? 99 out of 100 people cannot answer that question in 2 minutes or less. You have to think about it, and most can't answer it at all.
But through your discovery process, I bet you can find out what they enjoy. And
you're absolutely right.
If you're doing something you enjoy, you're going to be more successful. You're going to have that peace of mind, and you're going to have a lot of happiness in your life.
Yeah, and there's two different assessments I give my clients, which help ferret that out. One is called PIAV, which stands for Personality, Interest, Attributes, and Values. And the second is, it's kind of like Myers-Briggs, except it's DISC. And what DISC stands for, D is your decisive, driven, dominant characteristic.
Okay.
Your I is how you influence others to your point of view verbally, introvert, extrovert. Your S is your stable, steady characteristic, and also your team building and people skills. And your C is your compliance, how you follow rules and procedures set by others. Now, I always have, when a husband and wife comes in, and they both take it, normally, particularly the husband will say, well, that's not me. And then he hands it to the wife, and the wife says, yes, it is.
It is. I can see that.
Exactly. But that uncovers a lot, because almost all of us have a natural personality and an adapted personality. And that assessment shows what your natural personality is and what your adapted personality is, right? And so you may be an introvert, but when you're out in public, you are basically adapting your personality to be an extrovert.
Right.
Well, what's going to happen then if you get into something where you got to go out and talk to people all day long? You're going to burn out.
Yes,
and
because
I have to look
you're
at
doing
that.
something that's unnatural.
Correct. I have to look at that, because you don't want to be doing that. And many people that come to me that are having burnout or don't like what they're doing, I look at their DISC profiles, and they're adapting their personalities to do something they either don't like or is unnatural to their personality.
And that's important. I mean, because if you're, even if you're doing it part-time, or this is going to be a full-time business for you, eventually the part-time is probably going to be full-time. So you need to be something that you're adapted to and you enjoy.
Yeah. And what people also don't understand is my services are free to my clients. Now, it's not because it's too good to be true, but I get paid like a headhunter.
Right.
So I'm not a broker. I couldn't sell you anything if I wanted to, but the franchisors compensate us on a one-time basis, part of the franchise fee, and we guarantee you in writing that you never pay that. It's public knowledge what you pay for a franchise fee, and whether you go through me or you go find something on your own, you're going to pay the exact same thing. So there's absolutely no cost or risk or obligation for me to help you just learn what's out there.
Let's give your information right quick.
My phone number in my office is 423-875-5621. And my website is www.theentrepreneur, E for entrepreneur, source, SOURCE.com/B as in Bruce, Krebs, KREBS. That's a mouthful.
Yes, it is. And Bruce, we thank you for being one of our sponsors here at Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. Okay, you're passionate about this, and you can hear it in his voice. I see it in his body language. What else? What does Bruce do when he's not at the Entrepreneur Source? How does Bruce unwind?
Well, I got into this business because I like to help people.
Okay.
All right. And, I built a company from nothing to $250 million. And I did it by developing a great management team. And I was in the apparel business. I ran an apparel company. We made all the NFL, baseball, hockey, collegiate T-shirts and sweatshirts and jerseys and whatever. And then it got sold and merged, got ugly. And I decided I didn't want to be vulnerable in corporate America. But I also was tired of working 7 days a week and traveling all over the world and, you know, not having a life. I didn't go into any of my kids' activities growing up, coming up the corporate ladder. So to me, you know, I play tennis 4 days a week.
Okay.
Like to play golf. I am a lot of family activities, church activities, giving back to the community. And at the same time, I love to fish. I have a boat in Florida, and I go down.
Well, that's kind of where I'm going with this.
I just came back. I was and I down in Horseshoe Beach, Florida. I go down 6 or 7 times a year, and it's very inexpensive. There's nobody that lives there. There's 38 people live in Horseshoe Beach full time. It's 80 miles down the coast, and just unplug and recharge and come back.
But you working for yourself has allowed you to do all of the things you really want to do, your family time, being active in your church, helping other people.
Right.
And, you know, you also get to fish.
That's right. And, you know, it's interesting. I mean, when I'm driving down, driving back, I can talk to clients or franchisors. There's no cell service, but there is internet. So if there's something comes up, I can send emails and so forth. But, you know, when I'm on the water, I don't care.
Yeah. And you know, that's important. Yep. That, as you said, that to unplug and not be tethered by your email or phone it's incredibly important.
Yeah. And, you know, part of the things we talk about is there's a lot of people today that like to help other people. They like to give back to the community. And those are the things we talk about, because if it's important to you to give back to the community or help other people, whether it be children or elderly or whatever it happens to be, those are key things that's important to who you are as a human being.
You're correct.
Right? I just had a client that went into a business with his wife, and it's a tutoring business. But we have a problem here in Hamilton, Bradley County, because we have an 82% graduation rate, and our GPA averages are horrible. And this business, first of all, does a diagnostic assessment to really determine what's wrong with what deficiencies the child has.
Right.
Are they reading at a 3rd grade level and they're in 5th grade, or what else is wrong? At the same time, they have accelerated lesson plans. But the beauty of this is a certified teacher does the training in the privacy of someone's home. Now, think about that.
That's big.
If you go to Honors or Silver and a Kuhlman or something like that, your child's in a cube with 25 or 30 other kids, and it's not conducive to learning.
No, it's kind of like the classroom.
Right, exactly. You know? And so, you know, that's the kind of business that we really need here. And we have to be able to, you know, like to help children. But if you look at that business, you're helping the family, you're helping the children, you're helping the teachers, and you're helping the school system.
And you're helping Hamilton County.
Right.
Because better educated people is just going to build us up here.
And, you know, not only do they help any child in kindergarten through 12th grade, but they're the only organization that can help your child prepare for their PSATs, SATs, and all their college testing.
And I like that they do it in the home, because where do the kids do their homework?
Privacy of their home.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just one of the many franchises that you have. But I like what you said. You know, if you're working for yourself, not only can you give your time, but you're going to be successful in a franchise. You can give money, you know, and both of those are very important. You would have the time and the money to help other people.
Yeah. And you know, the final thought here is that when you're in business for yourself, one, you have a tremendous amount of tax breaks, which a CPA can tell you about, but you're not going to pay for your car payment and your gas and your repairs and your cell phone and a lot of different things. There's going to be a business deduction. But most people don't realize that when you're in business for yourself, whether you're an S Corp or LLC or whatever it is, you can put $57,500 a year into your retirement program.
And that's big. That is huge.
And that's called a KEO or a mini K. Or there's different kinds of. So if you make $100,000 a year and only need 43 of it to pay your bills,
there you go.
You can put $57,000 in an IRA, which all of a sudden you'll pay literally no taxes on making $100,000 a year. And people just don't realize that.
Yeah. Well, Bruce, I appreciate you being here. You're listening to Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. This has been the Entrepreneur Hour. Bruce will be here every other Wednesday. He'll be back on Wednesday next time. Can't wait to have him back. And right quick, just give your phone number.
423-875-5621.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Expect cloudy and cooler weather out there through the afternoon.